Hey, what's going on guys? It's Blue Monkey. Welcome back to the channel. This is the third and final video in the Find Your Pet series, where I go over every aspect of a hunter pet and help you decide which one to use based on the content that you're playing, your personal play style, and the spec that you're choosing to run. If you want to watch the first two episodes in order to gain a better understanding of what we'll be talking about today, links to both of those videos will be in the description below. But this video is self-sustaining, meaning if you choose not to watch episode 1 and 2, you'll still be able to get a lot out of this video. Today we're talking specs, specifically BM versus Survival and Marksmanship. I'll go over all 12 exotic pet species and break down their exotic abilities in terms of how useful they are and their synergy with their pet families and special abilities. Then, if you're not playing BM, I'll suggest a non-exotic alternative. If you do happen to enjoy the video, leaving me a like down below is much appreciated. And if you want to see new hunter-related videos every week, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Without further ado, let's jump right in. So I'm going to be moving down the list of special abilities. I'm going to briefly talk about the synergy between the pet family and the special ability, but mostly I'm going to be talking about our exotic abilities that come with the exotic pet species. First off, we're going to start with the Shalebeast. So it's in the Cunning pet family and brings you the defense ability. Cunning being more movement focused and defense being more focused on your pet survivability. I wouldn't say this has too much synergy here. However, the Shalebeast exotic ability is called Shimmering Shale. It says reduce magic damage taken by however much. So what you're going to get here is a combination of reducing damage taken with the defense special ability, as well as a little bit more defense, reducing the magic damage taken by your pet as well. So if your main goal is defense, but you're also looking for a little bit of movement speed, or maybe you're getting CC'd super often, then this could be a pet that's right up your alley. Now, if you want the same benefit, but you're running survival, or if you're using a pet with marksmanship, either of these two pets here, the boars or the mechanicals, are going to do you very well. That magic damage resistance is kind of just a little bit of a cherry on top. The defense ability, given that it's only on a 1-minute cooldown, you're going to get a decent amount of pet defense already. Now moving on to the Core Hound. I think that ferocity and the defense special ability combine really well to grant a good amount of synergy for us solo players. Alright, so if your pet's tanking for you, first of all, the defense ability is going to be good regardless of what pet family. But with ferocity, you also get that leech for you and your pet to help you both stay alive, as well as the primal rage ability, which gives you a giant haste boost, and your entire party. But specifically, these abilities combine really well if you're doing solo, because that leech and that primal rage ability, if you proc that primal rage, more damage is just gonna translate to more healing for you and your pet. Now, as far as the Core Hound's exotic ability, it's called Molten Hide, and basically what it does is whenever your pet gets attacked, it's gonna do damage over time to any further melee attackers for 10 seconds. Now, it's not a ton of damage. However, given that ferocity and the defense special ability already synergize really well for solo players, if your pet is taking all the aggro, why not throw in a little bit of extra damage over time? You know what I mean? Plus, they look really cool. That's a topic for another video, though. I'm not talking about looks in this video specifically. We're just talking about how these abilities kind of work together to create almost a mini subclass or a mini spec. Now, I'm gonna put a link, just as a little side note, in the description down below to the website that I'm getting all these screenshots from. You can literally click on any of these pets. It'll show you a full list of every single model available in the game. And if you want to go even further, if you click on that, it'll bring you to Wowhead and it'll show you exactly where they spawn. So moving on to the Carapace. Tenacity and defense, good synergy there. It's all focused on defense, right? So you get plus 5% maximum health, as well as a defensive cooldown with survival of the fittest, given to you by the Tenacity family, as well as the defense ability to help your pet stay alive. Obviously some good synergy there, and it also comes with the exotic ability Calcified Carapace. And this is very similar to the Shalebeast, except for the fact that it reduces physical damage taken instead of magic damage. So with the Carapace, you have 3 places that you're getting defensive abilities from: the Tenacity pet family, the Carapace's exotic ability, as well as the special ability. Now, as far as alternatives, the Beetle and the Turtle will be the most similar. And for the Core Hound, going back to ferocity, the other option, if you're not using an exotic, would be the Scalehide. So next, let's talk about Devilsaurs. Belong to the Ferocity pet family, again giving you that leech and the primal rage ability. They also come with Mortal Wounds, which is a debuff that your pet puts on your enemy, which reduces the effectiveness of any healing received. Now, Mortal Wounds is clearly a PvP focused special ability, and given that Primal Rage is disabled in arenas, This combination of family and special ability will be primarily useful in battlegrounds. That doesn't mean you can't take it anywhere else, right? That's just where this pet's gonna shine. Now, as far as the Devilsaur's exotic ability, it's pretty lackluster. It says the Devilsaur feasts on a nearby humanoid or beast corpse within 5 yards, healing it for 20% of its maximum health and restoring 20 focus over 6 seconds. So, in order for your pet to get healed to 100% with this ability, not only would you have to have 5 corpses within 5 yards, it would also take you 30 full seconds. This, I would say, is probably the worst of all the exotic abilities. However, Devilsaurs look sick as fuck, and the combination of ferocity and mortal wounds is definitely pretty potent if you're taking it into the right content. Now, that being said, with the exotic ability being so lackluster, you could take any of the 5 pets in this column and get basically the exact same effect. Like with the Devilsaurs, you're not even going to use that exotic ability. You're not even going to use it. Feast? Yeah. Let's just leave it at that, honestly. The next special ability bracket that we're going to be looking at is the Pet Cure / Dispel. Now, as far as special abilities go, this is probably the worst. This used to be our Tranquilize and Dispel, or excuse me, this used to be our Tranquilizing Shot. But now that we have Tranquilizing Shot back in our spell book, they changed the pet ability basically to remove 1 disease, magic, and poison effect from the pet. Pretty weak, in my opinion. Not too useful anywhere you go in the game. Like, granted, it's gonna work, but is it that valuable? I would argue no. But we do have some of the coolest exotic pets in this bracket. Now, they're gonna perform the same, right? Because we do still have Tranquilizing Shot. But I would say that the Water Striders and the Spirit Beast, both as pets themselves, are not as valuable because we're going to get that Tranquilizing Shot no matter what pet we take. So let's look at Water Striders. And when I examine these two, honestly, I'm not even going to take the Pet Cure / Dispel special ability into account. Since it's just so lackluster, we're going to be talking about the synergy between the pet families and the exotic abilities. Now with Water Striders, you get a pretty cool combination. With Cunning, obviously you're getting that plus 8% movement speed, and you can get out of roots and snares with the Master's Call ability. And not only that, the Water Strider's exotic ability is called Surface Trot and allows the Hunter and the Water Strider to walk across water. With this exotic ability obviously being focused on traversal, and the Cunning Pet family being focused on mobility, I would say these combine pretty well. Now, as for when Water Striders are actually going to be useful, given that damage will negate the effect of Surface Trot, probably World Quest, solo PvE activities. Maybe if you're running old raids and dungeons. Although off the top of my head, I can't think of a raid or a dungeon where you actually have to swim or cross water. But basically, if you're trying to get where you're trying to get as fast as possible and you don't have the option of flying, Water Striders will basically be your best friend. Now with this one, I would say that there's probably not any alternatives that are worth taking, given that, again, the Pet Cure and Dispel special ability is pretty lacking. So the only thing that Water Striders have to bring to the table, aside from their Cunning Pet family, is Surface Trot. I don't think there's really anything else that you could take, at least that would compare, right? So let's move over to Spirit Beast. Now, Spirit Beast used to be really freaking awesome, right? Because it would give you the Spirit Pulse ability, which is Tranquilize and Dispel, or Tranquilizing Shot. And it also gives you Spirit Mend as an exotic ability. Now that Spirit Pulse doesn't tranquilize, and now that Spirit Mend got a pretty significant nerf, that's a 66% nerf, a massive nerf, mind you, these pets are not nearly as powerful as they used to be. Now, I'm not exactly sure why Blizzard would do this. I don't think that Spirit Mend was overpowered by any means, especially considering that we don't have a lot of options to heal ourselves as hunters. We basically have Exhilaration, and that's it. Combined with the fact that our Revive pet is now 4 seconds, Spirit Beasts are no longer the king, quite simply put. And I'll put a card in the top right for you guys. I did a whole video dedicated to this nerf. If you want to check that out, that card will be there for you, and I'll probably put a link in the description as well. But looking at where the pet's at now, you still get a little bit of healing. In BFA, this ability was healing for about 40% of our maximum health, and now it's healing for about 10%. So it's still there. Combining with the fact that you're in the Tenacity Pet family, granting you the Survival of the Fittest defensive cooldown, reducing your damage taken, as well as giving you a little 5% maximum health boost, I think that, Tenacity's pet family abilities are pretty small in the defense department. and same with Spearmint, but combining all three of them together, I would say does still offer you quite a bit of utility. As for similar non-exotic options, sorry guys, there are none. If you want a pet like this, you're gonna have to run BM. And that's just kind of how it is. Next, let's move into the next special ability bracket, which is the slow ability, reducing movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds. Now the Akiri, this is a very synergistic pet. You've got great synergy between the special ability, the pet family, and the exotic ability. So think about it this way. With the slow special ability, you're going to be slowing your enemy down. With the cunning pet family abilities, you're going to be speeding yourself up. Now, that's a pretty potent combo, which is why if you're not running Beast Mastery, any of the pets in this bracket will do just fine. More than just fine, they'll do great. I use a bird of prey all the time as survival. Now, with the Akiri, it takes it to an entire other level, because the exotic ability is called Dune Strider, which increases the pet's movement speed by 30%. Like your enemies are not outrunning this guy. It's just not gonna happen. Now, it may take a little while longer for you to actually catch up, but your pet is gonna be glued to that guy's butthole. And if you want to apply very, very, very consistent pressure to the enemy, specifically in a PvP situation, this combination of abilities is one of the most synergistic in the game, in my opinion. Matter of fact, I'm not sure why I don't use Akiri more often. But moving over to the Chimera, this is also a pretty good combination of special ability and pet family. Now keep in mind that special abilities don't matter as much in PvE. Like, how many times are you going to need to slow one target in PvE? However, in PvP, again, given that Primal Rage, Ferocity Pet Family's active ability is disabled in arenas, and given that the slow ability is going to be more effective with a larger area to battle in, this is also another good combination for our Battleground players. Now, unfortunately, here, let's just go ahead and read the ability. Froststorm Breath, brought to us by the Chimeras, is the exotic ability. The Chimera channels a frozen breath attack, causing, however much damage. In Froststorm damage every 2 seconds for 8 seconds to all enemies within 12 yards. So it's an AoE damage over time. Unfortunately, this is a DPS loss over Beast Cleave. So if you're looking for AoE, if you're looking for big AoE, what you want to do, and if you're looking for the same combination of pet family and special ability, is you're going to want to pick any pet out of these 5. That would be the Chimera, Crocolisk, Spider, Tall Strider, and Wolf. And you're just going to want to spam your multi-shot. That is, of course, if you're playing Beast Mastery. Now, if the Chimera's Froststorm Breath got a buff, and quite frankly, I think it should. Obviously, the exotic ability is completely overshadowed by one of our basic hunter abilities. I would say, again, this pet would shine in Battlegrounds, specifically Battlegrounds like where a lot of enemies are going to be gathered in one place. Think like Eye of the Storm, stuff like that. But yeah, let's move on to the Worm. Now with the Worm, the slow ability and the Tenacity Pet family don't necessarily offer any type of synergy, but if your kit is lacking in survivability and you also want to slow people down, I guess it's something that you could take. So this is an interesting one. The exotic ability is called Burrow Attack, says the worm burrows into the earth and shakes the ground above, dealing however much in nature damage over 8 seconds. Pretty similar to the Froststorm Breath that the Chimera's offered, right? But it does do a lot more damage. However, this ability is still overshadowed by Beast Cleave. Not only that, when the worm is underground, your pet doesn't gain any more stacks of Frenzy from Barb Shot. So considering those two things, I would say that, this pet's probably not one worth taking. Again, if you're playing BM and you're looking for that AoE and the combination of slow and tenacity, you might as well just pick any of these pets and just spam your multi-shot. However, what's interesting about Burrow Attack is that it doesn't cause you to lose your camouflage. So if you're defending a flag in a battleground or something like that, you can use the Burrow Attack and stay stealth, and your pet's going to be underground for 8 seconds, and all they're going to see is the attack animation, and they're probably not going to know what's even going on, which could make for some pretty meme-like moments. All in all, an interesting pet. I wouldn't say that it's OP or anything like that. And now we're going to move on to the next bracket, which is the Trigger Defense Special Ability bracket. The combination here is a special ability that brings your pet some good automatically triggering defensive utility, as well as some movement speed for you and your pet, and a way to get out of roots and snares. Now the Pterodax's exotic ability is called Updraft, which slows your fall speed. Pretty freaking sick, very unique. Another traversal option, like you have with the Water Striders that we were talking about. But in this case, obviously it's a different method of traversal, and the special ability is actually useful. If you remember, the Water Striders had that pet Cure Dispel, which is absolutely abysmal. Now, one option that you can do if you're not using an exotic pet, if you want the same combination of family and special abilities, to take the Camel or the Gruffhorn and pick yourself up a Horde Glider Kit or an Alliance Glider Kit. Now, I forgot there's actually people that play Alliance. This would give you, now keep in mind that the gliders, it's not the same type of slow fall. You move forward a lot more than you do with Updraft, because you're actually gliding, you're not just slowly falling. But if you're looking to emulate what the Pterodaxes bring for the Beast Mastery Hunters, you can in fact get something very similar as Survival or as Marksmanship. Moving over to the Cleft Hoof. This pet family is, I would say, just as synergistic as the Akiris, but for a different purpose. So the Cleft Hoofs belong to the Ferocity pet family. Again, and I'm sorry for being repetitive, but just to remind you guys, Ferocity Pet Family brings you 10% leech for you and your pet. So the more damage you do, the more healing you and your pet are going to receive. It also gives you a huge offensive cooldown with Primal Rage, increasing your haste by 30% for an entire 40 seconds, right? And the Cleft Hoof also gets the Trigger Defense ability. So on the one hand, you're getting an automatic stream of steady healing with the leech. If you need more of that leech, you can pop the Primal Rage ability. And if your pet still gets too low in health, it will automatically trigger the Trigger Defense ability. And the exotic ability for the Cleft Hoofs is just the cherry on top. Now, it's called Blood of the Rhino. Now, it says the Cleft Hoof has 10% additional armor and increases the effectiveness of any healing received by 20%. So instead of getting 10% leech with the Ferocity Pet family, you're getting 12% leech. And when you cast your Mend pet, you're also going to get another 20% healing on top of that, as well as having a baseline 10% additional armor. This is the tankiest pet in the game. Now, there's not a whole lot of looks that are offered, but if you're soloing, this is the pet that you should be using as Beast Mastery. Now, me personally, I don't typically play BM very much anymore. I'm more of a survival guy myself. And when I'm out doing solo content and my pet's tanking for me, I'm using the Gorilla. Gorillas, they may not have that exotic ability of Blood of the Rhino, but the combination of the Ferocity Pet family's leech with the Trigger Defense ability, they just work so well together, and your pet can do these insane pulls. Like, it's absolutely crazy, the amount of stuff that you can solo with the Cleft Hoof or with the Gorilla. And lastly, we have Stonehounds. Another pretty synergistic combination of pet family, special ability, and exotic ability, with tenacity giving you some good survivability for you and your pet right off the bat, combined with the Trigger Defense ability to help your pet stay alive, and the Stonehound's exotic ability, which is called Eternal Guardian. It says when used, your pet will miraculously return to life with full health. So if your pet's tanking for you, you're out there solo, your pet ends up dying, you pop this ability, and you're good to go once again. Now, this pet, believe it or not, also does have its place in PvP. I would say that this is the only circumstance as of today's meta where you're going to want to bring tenacity into a PvP situation. However, again, with our Revive pet being a 4-second cast now instead of 2, especially if you're playing Beast Mastery and you're playing arenas, here's the thing, if you're playing BM in arenas, you're going to go in, and the first thing that the enemy team is going to say to each other is, Beast Mastery Hunter, kill pet. As BMs, 80% of your damage or more is coming from your pet. And so if your pet's out of the game, you're out of the game, son. Like, that's just how it is. They will never see it coming, ever. Because nobody runs Stonehounds. Who runs a Stonehound? Are you kidding me? Nobody. But if you're having a real problem with your pet being focused, no matter what type of content you're playing, you bring a Stonehound, and that's going to put a band-aid right over that boo-boo, okay? They're never going to see it coming. Next week is going to be a very highly anticipated video suggested by the community many times, and it is the biggest and smallest pets in the game. So look forward to that next week. Guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you check out episode 1 and 2 if you want to know more. And until next time, I'm Blue Monkey, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.